Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning thought for today. I want to start reading this morning, not from the passage we've been looking at all week, the passage from Mark 5, verses really 35 to 43. But I want to take you back to the Old Testament, to the book of 2 Kings and chapter 6. This is a story about a time when God's servant was besieged. The servant was Elisha. And he and the army that he was with, the king's army he was with, were basically surrounded, and how something miraculous happened because of one fact. And I just want to lead you into our thoughts, because we are going to be looking at Mark 5 in just a moment. But the verse 15 of 2 Kings chapter 6 reads, "When the servant of the man of God rose early in the morning and went out, behold, an army with horses and chariots was all around the city. And the servant said, Alas, my master, what shall we do? And then he said, Do not be afraid, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them. Then Elisha prayed and said, O Lord, please open his eyes that he may see. So the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha." Incredible thought, isn't it? That this man went out and he saw that the whole place, the whole city was surrounded by their enemies. And he knew that they did not have the forces they needed to combat these enemies. He knew in his heart that they were doomed. And his words say it all when he says, Alas, my master, what shall we do? In other words, it's pathetic. We can do nothing about this. And Elisha knew the true story. Elisha knew that surrounding the city, on the hills around the city, was effectively the army of God. Fiery horses and chariots that greatly outnumbered their enemies who surrounded the city. And because Elisha had eyes to see, he prayed that God would open the servant's eyes, effectively give the servant the eyes of faith to see what Elisha could see. Elisha was privileged because he could see the wonder of God surrounding. He saw the true story. And he prayed, and God graciously allowed Elisha's servant's eyes to open so that he could see the true story. And as I think about our reading this morning, Matthew 5, where there's this sense that the faith that Jesus needed, I suppose, Jairus to have, the faith that Peter, James and John and the three disciples he allowed to come with him needed to have, was a faith which was the only faith that deserved to see what was going to happen. Now, God allowed Elisha's servant's eyes to be opened so that he could see it. Jesus arrived at the house and there was a great commotion. Jesus had left one crowd and he'd gone, and all of a sudden there's another crowd, a crowd of people and a commotion going on. And Jesus basically tells them, look, the girl's not dead, she's sleeping. They laugh at Jesus. And as they laugh at Jesus, Jesus knows the level of faith that they have. And so Jesus says, out you go. What's going to happen is for those who have the eyes of faith only. And so he brings in the father and the mother, and he brings in Peter, James and John. And as he does so, he speaks to the little girl. And as we know from yesterday, the little girl comes back to life as if she'd been asleep. And Jesus restores her to her family. But he granted Jairus, who had the faith to believe in the start, and most likely his wife too, because he knew their faith, and he granted them the opportunity of seeing a miracle. Peter, James and John, their faith was transforming them from being the fishermen, the ordinary people that they were, to becoming actual disciples who would lead the church after Jesus left. But only those with the eyes of faith were allowed to see what Jesus was about to do. Incredible. Everyone else was chased from the house. Basically, Jesus said, this isn't for your eyes. What's going to happen here is going to happen only for those who have faith. They are going to be allowed to see the truth. So this all went on in the quietness, in this holy place, the place where Jesus was. And I'm sure that they wondered about it for many, many years afterwards. And they told that little girl exactly what Jesus had done. And so we think back of the story of Elisha's servant, and how God allowed his eyes to see the hills around the city filled with God's army. And Jesus allowed Jairus and his wife and the 3 disciples to see the wonder of the miracle he was about to do. Jesus only allows the eyes of faith to see the true picture of what he's doing. And sometimes we don't get to see what Jesus is doing. Sometimes we don't get to see the wonder of God around us because we don't have eyes of faith. And so we need to pray, Lord, I do believe. Maybe I need help in my belief. I want to believe. I want to have eyes of faith. I want to see you, and I want to see what you're doing in my life and in the life of those around me. And if you walk with eyes wide open in faith, you will see God in ways the world cannot see him. You will see God doing things that you won't be able to believe, but you will believe because you've seen them with faith. You will see God in the most incredible ways possible, but you will see God doing things he has granted you to see because of your faith. You could be missing out on so much because you haven't opened the eyes of faith. So I pray that God would give you eyes of faith today to see what it is he's doing in your life, to see what he's doing in your church and those around you, and give you the ability to build on that faith and to encourage each other. I hope you understand what we're talking about, and I hope you want to have the eyes of faith. Pray to God, ask him to give you those eyes, and then see and believe. Have a good Thursday. Tomorrow's the last day of the week. Hopefully we'll see you in the morning. God bless.